What is something people in your fandom forget isn't actually canon, but Fanon? Sometimes as fanfiction writers, we meld canon and Fanon, but what is something that people in your fandom think is canon, but isn't? What are Fanon things in fanfiction that have gotten written so much that people think they are actually canon? I mean, like, things people have written so much about that people just take as canonical and grant it at face value without looking into it. These Reddit posts are from 3 years ago, just so you know, and I know that in those 3 years, some of these Fanon things have become canon, such as this example here. Blake and Yang from RWBY have no freaking relationship. I don't care how many subtle hints Rooster Teeth chucks out there. Until the bees kiss, it's not canon. Exactly. I fully believe they intend for it to be a thing, but it has not been confirmed as canon. Rooster Teeth just needs to get it over with and make them kiss. That did happen. They kissed, and the Fanon belief that they were definitely in love was confirmed. So you let me know if any of these other posts have gone from Fanon to canon, and let me know your own experiences with this in your fandoms, things that people believe are canon that aren't, or things that became canon later. Finally, I can get that off my chest. Dear Transformers fandom, they are alien robots. They canonically do not have tongues. I'm not telling you what you can or cannot do in your fics, but don't come crying when official merch and shows depict them without. And no, renaming it to Glossa won't magically make one appear either. The belief that there's a thing in Miraculous Ladybug called Miraculous Cure. What are you talking about? Ladybug heals the world at the end of literally every episode. You are not telling me that's Fanon. Oh yeah, she absolutely does the thing, but never once has it been referred to by the name everyone loves so much. An interesting one for She-Ra. The fanfiction Don't Go is almost universally viewed as canon because it's widely believed that it was written by the show's creator, due to several hints he dropped around the time it was written. One thing I've seen in the Five Nights at Freddy's fandom is that Gregory is homeless. It's never actually been confirmed if he is or not, but I personally have it as a headcanon, and so many people do as well, that some would think it is actually canon. Wasn't he shown sleeping outside in some alley in one ending? That doesn't mean he's homeless. I've seen some people think that he was left behind by his family, so if he's not sure how to get home, it would still make sense. Nothing has been explicitly confirmed, though. Nothing in My Hero Academia has ever said that Shinso has abusive or dead parents, or that he's been adopted by Aizawa. It is very sweet Fanon, the adoption part, not the abuse part, but still Fanon. In Stranger Things, Steve Harrington's parents are never shown in the show, unlike those of every other child or teenager, so fanfiction invariably depicts them as absent to the point of criminal abandonment. It makes for great fic and character exploration, but it's kind of funny how everyone latched onto this one explanation and went, "Yes, our canon now!" That Gambit from X-Men's middle name is Etienne. It seems that originated from the fanfiction author Laurie MacDonald, and somebody at some point just put it into the official guide to the Marvel Universe. Alright, gonna give one for the Legend of Zelda fandom. Link is not mute, and he doesn't speak with sign language. Most games have dialogue choices. He's most of the time a silent protagonist. Also, some fanworks I've seen show Hylians and round-ear humans as different species. Differences between the two is almost never brought up in the games or manga. The only thing to note is that Link and Zelda are always reincarnated to be Hylian. At most, the games and manga treat the two subspecies of round-ear humans and Hylians like nationalities. For Among Us, the idea that imposters eat crewmates. I mean, in the game, only the bottom half of the bodies is left behind, and the imposters have a big toothy mouth in their belly, but the game never mentions what happens to the top half of the bodies. Even the Among Us community manager subscribes to this explanation, so you could say the Fanon ascended to quasi-canon. Another omnipresent Fanon interpretation is the idea that imposters are alien mimics. It makes more sense than the parasite alternative, but the official view in descriptions of the game is actually they're parasites. Starfire from the Teen Titans cartoon doesn't refer to people as friend insert name. It's a verbal tic that got started after the season 2 finale when she talks about Terra. She says, "I shall miss you, friend." People made this into a Fanon verbal tic that is not in the cartoon. In Buffy the Vampire Slayer fics, Spike exclusively using nicknames to refer to everyone, especially the same one repeatedly. While calling Dawn Niblet, Bite Size, etc., and Giles Watcher did happen, most nicknames were a one-off, situational, usually insulting thing. People having him call Terra Glinda the Good Witch being the worst offender. That one never happened. The weird thing about Glinda to me is that there actually is one instance of a character being called Glinda in the Buffyverse. It's Cordelia talking about Willow in the show Angels episode Orpheus. But it's always Terra who's Glinda in fanfiction, never Willow. Dean Winchester from Supernatural is not, and has never been, blonde. I mean, it's a freaking live-action series. How on earth do people make such an egregious mistake? Were it a book or even a manga with the covers in black and white, okay, maybe it's an honest mistake. But in a freaking audio-visual media? I don't get it. Me fucking either. I can only guess it's because the blonde and dark-haired MLM ship prototype is so popular. Castiel is also often described in fics as having raven hair. But both Dean and Castiel are just brunette though. Oikawa from Haikyuu was never actually confirmed to have had a prior knee injury. He just wears 2 different colored knee pads. This headcanon was taken as gospel, to the point where his wiki page used to confirm this fact in the trivia section. Now it just says, "This was never stated to be a knee injury." LOL. Also from Haikyuu, Sakusa isn't a germaphobe. This is actually confirmed by the author, who says, he's just blunt when it comes to the things he dislikes. According to his wiki page. That Clint Barton from Marvel travels in, and often hangs out in, ceiling vents. Honestly, I understand this one. It seems like something the comics version of Hawkeye would do. Less so the MCU version. And that Tim Drake, the third Robin from Batman, has a coffee addiction. The strangest part of the latter is that official DC media has started to acknowledge it, but it's been pure fanon for years. For Vocaloid, Rin and Len aren't biologically siblings. Len is Rin's male mirror image. However, in many of their songs, they are displayed as being twins. Krypton, the creators of Rin and Len, even went out of their way to state that they are not twins, and they approve of the many interpretations and representations of the two. Originally, the concept of them being distributed as twins was tossed around, but it didn't go forward with the plan. Basically, all of it is fanon. Vocaloids officially have a voice and a name, and sometimes a character design and some basic details like height, weight, and age. Everything else is fanon. For Genshin Impact, certain characters, mostly thinking of Zhongli and Xiao here, but it also happens with others, do not canonically view each other as family, nor are they blood related. Of course, if you want to headcanon the relationship that way, that's fine. But it's not canon, and shipping them is nowhere near incest. This, even if I think it's cute sometimes, it's decidedly not cute when people use that headcanon justification to push down ships. Unless those ships would be illegal. I mean, I won't aggrieve others here for writing about it, but I definitely will avoid it myself, in favor of the popularized ships. All ghouls from Fallout eventually becoming feral is seen as canon fact rather than conjecture. To be fair, plenty of people in the universe believe this too. It could easily be true and easily be not true. The only way to know for sure is for a ghoul to survive until the heat death of the universe without going feral. That Miles Edgeworth from Ace Attorney adopted Kay Faraday. Or that he's gay. I mean, the odds of him not being gay are extremely low, but it hasn't been stated either way in canon. Just in general, the sexuality of characters. Especially when people try to bring up evidence, which boils down to a list of stereotypes. Pretty much every handsome guy being 6'3" when they're probably far less than that in canon. Sans Undertale does not have nightmares. It seems like everyone takes it for granted, but canon literally never mentions it. And while I'm on the topic of Sans Undertale, people act like he's constantly aware of when resets happen, when the most he does is figure out they exist. On the same line, Papyrus isn't some naive man-child who's obsessed with spaghetti and doesn't know what death is. He has a lot more character depth and picks up on much more than he lets on. For the Undertale fandom, all of the Gaster lore. All of it. There is no void, there's no evidence he was forgotten, and even the Mystery Man sprite in Waterfall isn't confirmed to be him. Everyone bases his fandom appearance on that sprite, but what will they do if Toby Fox reveals him as being different? Also, he's not canonically related to Sans or Papyrus. The character Wes Weston in the Danny Phantom fandom. I watched the show all the way through and didn't remember seeing him pop up at all, but in a majority of Danny Phantom fanfic, he's there, so I just assumed that I missed him or something. Found out later that I was right, and he was never actually canon. Briefs as a last name for Bulma in Dragon Ball. Dr. Brief, with no S, is his first name, not his last name. Bulma never had a last name in canon, and neither did anyone else, like Bikini, Trunks, or Bola. But Fanon, and the character tags, and some video games have added Briefs with an S as their last names. Bulma Briefs, Trunks Briefs. Which begs the question, what's Dr. Brief's first name then? And in that case, how come his wife also has the same naming convention? Mrs. Afton from Five Nights at Freddy's isn't named Clara. We don't even know if there was Mrs. Afton technically. We can infer William was most likely married, but there's no proof other than 3 kids. Oh, and the crying child does not have a name. It's not Evan or Christopher. He doesn't have one. For Pride and Prejudice, that Mr. Darcy's cousin, Colonel Fitzwilliam's first name is Richard. It was used in the 1995 miniseries, but he isn't named in the Austen novel. Very widely used in Jane Austen fanfiction now. I've seen a comment on someone's story in the past where they corrected the author for using a name other than Richard. It drives me nuts that people think the Pixar theory is canon. There were headlines once saying it was confirmed by Pixar, when really, all they confirmed was the obvious fact that the movies contain references to each other. That doesn't make the theory connecting them all canon. There's a character that everyone called Granny, and we never had her real name. The fandom decided to give her a name, and everybody just went along with it. Me, I found out not long ago the name they gave her wasn't canon. There's a minor character in one of my fandoms who everyone writes as having red hair. Her hair color is never mentioned in canon, but everyone who writes her, including me, has her as being a redhead. The character Sebastian Moran never actually appeared in the BBC Sherlock show, something I learned from reading one of these threads a bit ago, and immediately had to Google because of course that had to be wrong. Oh yeah, and so many people fan-cast Michael Fassbender as Sebastian Moran. For a while, I was 100% convinced I had seen him in the show, but couldn't remember which episode. In Hazbin Hotel, Angel doesn't canonically have a contract with the Overlord Valentino. It seems to just be an abusive relationship. But everyone seems to write him as having some sort of soul contract. Vincent Valentine from Final Fantasy doesn't actually like Yuffie, At the end of Reminisce of Final Fantasy VII, he's clearly annoyed by her to the point where he leaves Cloud this message. Tell Yuffie to stop calling me. This is my phone and she has no right to call it. Sorry, Euphantine shippers. Maybe Yuffie does want to get to know him by calling him all the time, or maybe she's just a chatterbox just wanting to be friends. Either way, he wants nothing to do with her. Agreed. Like, he clearly doesn't hate, treat horribly, or want her to die. He just wants her to go away and leave him alone. He wants most people to leave him alone. I have some theories as to how this trend came to be. I think Euphantine became a thing because a lot of girls found Final Fantasy VII when they were young, fell in love with Vincent, and Yuffie was the closest person to them in age that they could use as a self-insert. This is certainly what my friends and I did. In Fanon, Percy Jackson's some kind of ambiguously brown. Specifically, he's olive-skinned and Mediterranean. But in canon, Percy Jackson's white. The short version of this is, it never says he's olive-skinned or looks Mediterranean in the books. That's literally just a thing that people made up and got spread around, to the point where even the fandom wiki has this piece of misinformation. People also say he looks like his dad, and his dad's a Greek god, so therefore that means Percy looks Greek, and some Greeks are brown, so therefore Percy's brown. That's the shortest way to put it since there's so many reaches in this fanon. But the gods don't have ethnicities, and literally no other demigods are ethnically part Greek. This only applies to Percy, because this idea only comes up when attempting to justify him being brown as canon. The books don't really mention his ethnicity at all. The most it says is in the 4th book, where his skin is described as pinkish. Depending on how much you consider the Harry Potter movies canon, and I don't, Hermione did not have the word mudblood carved into her arm. As someone who never saw the movies, I always wondered where that came from for years, until someone said it happened in book 7. Then I reread that part over and over, and argued it didn't happen, until someone said it was just a movie thing. Something very personal to me, but I sometimes forget that my original character antagonist isn't actually in Frozen. She's real to me, damn it. I feel this. I sometimes forget my original characters aren't real, but god damn it, I commissioned art of them, so they are real to me! Thank you for watching, and especially thanks to my Patreon members, my Little Ruse, Nebulatic Vexen, Donka42, John Huang, Laser Scorpio, Night Avenger, Mintara, Somnophobic Danny, Savage Otters, Falsey, Terabyte AIX, Kestrel, Dragonborn Canid, Angie Ender, and Marpsk. Thank you so much for extra support on Patreon, it means the world to me. Hope you guys are doing well. I really appreciate you, and I hope there's some good things happening in your life right now. Give yourself a hug from me to you. The same goes to my YouTube channel members, my Mini Ruse, Foxstar Killer, Rainy Cant, and Elelawin North 24. Thank you so much for extra support. I'm so glad to have you be a part of my YouTube channel. Again, I hope you guys are doing well. I send all my best wishes your way, and just keep on being awesome and enjoying life as best you can. And thank you to everyone else for watching, of course. I can never say it enough. I just hope I entertained you. And have a great day or night, and I will see you in the next video, I hope. If not, that's okay, at least you were here for this one. But I do hope to see you again, and I hope to put a smile on your face, so that's all for now, but I'll be back.